God is not the problem. You and me and the world are the problem. Well, I have to agree with that part of it, but only well, actually, no, we aren't, because we're a product of nature, not God. But you insist that we are a product of God, which means you are unknowingly removing God from you're removing God from the existential equation by saying he's not the problem. But obviously, well, you're trying to blame us to excuse God because, well, uh, okay, so God is not the problem. You and me and the world are the problem. Uh, Psychology would be the problem, but being that we're a product of nature, no. Of course, you won't listen to that because you're brainwashed. Um, so yeah, you're just unknowingly you're just unknowingly removing God from the existential equation here. God doesn't tell you to lie. Well, just the fact that we're able to lie, which shouldn't be because God created Adam and Eve, which means they should be unable to act against God, and they should be perfect because God is perfect, as you guys say, or as you guys believe and claim and argue and preach. So, no. Well, you guys could say free will, but if they were created by God, then they can't. They were created without the ability to choose against God, while God Himself would be unable to create options that go against Him. See the problem there yet? Humans choose to. Humans choose to. God doesn't tell them. Well, how is that? Okay, God doesn't tell. Well, according to the Bible, God did tell people to kill others, right? May not be stealing. Maybe not stealing, but yeah. Humans choose to. Well, God God didn't make us immortal or anything, and you're just blaming people when you know God is really at fault because He created Adam and Eve, which resulted in us. And if well, like I say, God created Adam and Eve. God created Adam and Eve, and you guys believe God is perfect and incapable of evil. So there was no way sin could happen because Adam and Eve were created perfectly. No, not free will, because, as I just said, they were created by God and unable to choose against Him, while God couldn't have created any options to choose against Him. See how that works? That eliminates original sin. So therefore, you know, but as for stealing, well, according to the Bible, either God kills or He commands people to kill. That's not stealing, but you don't mention murder here. That's quite strange. All you mention is lying and stealing. Well, I don't know. Do you? God doesn't tell you to mask. Okay, you do. God doesn't tell you to mask, but He did tell people in the Bible to do that, didn't He? And to rape. So what argument do you have here? I mean, all you're doing is blaming people instead of acknowledging that God is the problem because He created us. Well, you people believe He created us this way. I just debunked that, but you won't listen to that, which is the whole idea because you're supposed to argue against it, to which I break down, creating a cycle which you can't escape, which you can't win because you're wrong. That doesn't mean I'm right, but it always means that you're always wrong no matter what you say in favor of Christianity and this God. God doesn't tell you to massacre a school full of children. Okay, the question would be, why do people do that? Would that not uh, wouldn't that mean insanity? Why would somebody shoot up a school? Obviously there are reasons, but those reasons are of insanity. I wouldn't do it. Would you? Are you in? Are And if you did, why would you? And can those reasons be logical or reasonable or sensible? No. It can never make sense to massacre a school full of children, aside from the moral aspect of it. Humans choose to. Yeah, well, you're the one. You're the one. You know, you're. How do I put this? You're praising God for creating us, but you're never blaming Him. The blame can only be on us, which again, you are removing God from that equation, which means God has nothing to do with it. So, I don't even know why you're mentioning God in this, based on your own logic. You have free will to walk with God. Why do you want to? Or walk with Satan? Okay. If that's the dichotomic ultimatum you've just presented here, then free will can't exist because we're all born under Satan's influence. So sin can't exist, or free will can't exist. And if God wasn't there, or Satan, and if Satan wasn't there, we wouldn't have original sin can't exist. You can't have it both ways. It's either we're under the influence of the devil, which would be original sin, or we have free will, which means original sin can't exist because we are under our own control. We have self-control. We are ourself, not of either. Well, we're all born with original sin, so we can only be at birth under Satan's control. That's what original sin is. So to impose or to argue this dichotomic ultimatum of either God or Satan is to cut free will out of the extent, just like you did. You're being stupid here. Okay, so you're cutting God out of the equation by blaming us, and you're cutting free will out of the equation by saying that we're either with God or Satan. So if those are the only two ways, our self is not in that equation. God is the light and the goodness in the midst of all the evil. Okay, so you're saying that God is the light and the goodness in the midst of all the evil. If judgment and condemnation to hell is light, what would be the darkness? And why do you agree with judgment and condemnation? Why do you approve of that? That means you're dark. Does Satan judge and condemn? No, right? You say that Satan punishes. Why would he punish his own kind, as you put it? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Everyone will pay for what they've... Why is everything a matter of paying and consequences? Is that all you guys ever think about? And aside from that, my question would be, if everything is a sin, everything fun is a sin here. I'm not talking about crime. I'm talking about actual fun, like enjoying life, enjoying flesh pleasures. If those are all sins in this life, then why would you want to go to heaven? Do you not like sex? What? What else is a sin? You know? Sex seems to be the one thing, well, nobody wants to murder. Well, these people do, but they're insane. As are you for wanting people to be judged and condemned. But, yeah, and if it is allowed in heaven, why isn't it allowed here? So, I mean, how is sex evil? Just an example. And why do you want consequences for premarital sex? I mean, what the fuck is that? You condemn murder, but you want eternal torment. Anyway, going to the post here. Now, what did I say? If all wickedness is a part of God's plan, the devil doesn't exist. Therefore, original sin can't. Nobody answered that. And apparently, well, yeah, your reply didn't make the cut. For some reason, Pinterest is fucked that way. But that has this dot here, so that must be the one that you're responding to. Okay, so if all wickedness is a part of God's plan, you didn't even answer my question. You're the one saying that everything is our fault. You completely evaded God's plan. God is not the problem. What does that have to do with God having a plan? The devil doesn't exist. You've completely evaded my you've completely evaded my comment here. Typical. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.